I'm Jim Fitch. I'm the director of the Rice Museum in beautiful Georgetown, South Carolina. We opened in May of 1970 as part of the South Carolina Tricentennial.
My name is Zenobia Harper, and for the Rice Museum, I do cultural programming mostly now. We try really hard to tell the most well-rounded story about rice culture, which is the history of Georgetown for the most part.
My name is Effson Bryant, originally from the Harper community, and here I'm the local tour guide. I talk about the slaves that was here in Georgetown, roughly probably around about 25,000 at times. And also I talk about the slave owners or the plantation owner. And also I talk about rice. Once upon a time they had about 153 plantations here.
We were, in years past, a society that was based on one crop, and that is the crop of rice.
The tour normally goes for about 45 minutes. We talk about the slave life and the slave history and where the slave came from Africa on the ships and various things.
Even now, when we talk about the continent of Africa, we talk about it as though it's this big old country instead of this massive continent that has tons of countries in it. When we were growing up, you would have thought that African people came from this nothingness, no language, no culture, no skills, no technology, no science, no nothing. And then they were civilized somehow, or as civilized as they could be civilized by this uncivilized act of enslavement. So that's what we're working from. So we're working forward from that crazy narrative.
Joseph H. Rainey. I love his story, who he was. He was born a slave, and after the Emancipation Proclamation, he became a barber here, well known. And after that, what fascinated me about him during the Reconstruction era, when blacks did real well, he became a statesman. He went into Columbia for a while, and then he moved to Washington, D.C., and there was a host of blacks that were the first African-American statesmen in Washington, D.C.
I am very appreciative of the fact that we have that extensive information about Joseph Hayne Rainey, because he is an important political figure to the country, not just to this area.
The artifacts and exhibit we show here have to do first with the rice culture, and then we have many exhibits that do with other aspects of our history. If I were to name my favorite ones, I would start with the Browns Ferry vessel. Now, the Browns Ferry vessel is the oldest maritime artifact of colonial manufacture in the United States. It's a 50-foot vessel we had to bring in through the roof. The history of it is not as a war vessel, but as a merchant vessel, and it predates what we originally thought was the earliest shipbuilding in the United States by 50 years.
I do love some of the artifacts inside of the clock tower, like the mortar and pestle, and some of the tools that people are able to actually see, and we're able to talk with them about how those tools were used, who had to make them, why they were made, and so on and so forth.
We talk about how rice was actually made here, and all of the hard work to prepare 1 acre of land. And I sort of talked to them about my story. My mother was raised on the Manfield plantation. I served 30 years in the Air Force as a chaplain, and once I come home on leave, I normally take her back there and she would tell me all of the story.
And that's what we really want. We want people to come in and deal with the history, good, bad, right, wrong, up, down, left, right, and then use the information that they are getting from the history that we're trying to preserve for them, and then think critically about whatever questions they might have.
We're open Tuesdays through Saturdays, 11 to 4, and we do our tours at 15 past the hour.
We are here, and we're ready for you to come. So, you know, everybody's welcome.